Hello, everyone. Thank you for meeting us today for the ARC of Fort Bend County Parent Education Support Group on Zoom today. I'm Carrie Axtell, the Advocacy and Youth Programs Director, and our group meets virtually on the second Thursday each month throughout the school year. We'd like to start with an educational presentation like we have today and invite you to stick around afterwards. If you want to stick around and share your questions or just talk amongst each other, we can share your experiences and seek additional resources. That's what I'm here for. So the ARC of Fort Bend County is a nonprofit organization. We were established in 1968 for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So we've been around about 55 years here in the community. We ensure opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families to help maximize their life, quality of life within our community. And we do that through our disability rights advocacy for and with people with disabilities. And then we also provide information about community services and resources. We organize a resource fair and support groups for parents as well as teen and adult siblings. Actually, this Saturday we have our sibling event at George Ranch Historical Park. So if y'all want to join us out there at 9 a.m. on Saturday, we're going to just get our neurotypical siblings who are going to be future caregivers for their brother or sister. And we just have fun, build camaraderie. But we also hold social and recreational programs for our members, and the programs range from our youth group to our teens and our 20-somethings, and we have members into their mature adulthood. We are also home to the largest Special Olympics delegation here in the region. We offer 11 different sports, and we have over 130 different athletes. So if it is athletic or sporty, you can probably do it with us here at the ARC of Fort Bend. But if you'd like to have more information, you can check out our website, arcoffortbend.org, and our social media. We're pretty active on those as well. So check us out there. If you have questions, you can reach out to me. I put my contact information in the chat. So please feel free to reach out and ask me questions. And if you have questions during the presentation for our presenter, Janeen Gordon, also, you can feel free to drop that in the chat, or if you want to at the end, you can unmute and ask your question directly. That's perfectly fine. But if this is your first time joining us, Juliana, and some others that we have joining us, hopefully today, we feel free to ask your questions if you'd like at the end. And then we're so thankful to have exceptional professionals here in the community, such as Janeen, who shares their knowledge and expertise with us. So Janeen, I'd like to welcome Janeen Gordon, who is the Regional Transition Specialist for the Texas Workforce Commission, Houston Gulf Coast region. And today she's going to present about vocational rehabilitation services. So Ms. Janeen Gordon is a subject matter expert for foster youth, neurodevelopmental disabilities, and pre-employment transition services. She sits on numerous committees and initiatives and pilot programs throughout the state of Texas. Janeen received a Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration from Point Park University and a Master's in Vocational Rehabilitation Counseling from the Virginia Commonwealth University. And she also has held her CRC credentials since 2010. Before beginning her career as a caseworker, Janeen spent 7 years in a specialty role working with significantly disabled children as a family service worker it's at Allegheny County Child Protective Services of Pennsylvania. In 2003, she came to work for the Texas Rehabilitation Commission, and for 20 years now, she's worked as a VR counselor and a second-round transition vocational rehabilitation counselor for the Department of Assistance and Rehabilitative Services. In January 2023, she began a new role as a regional transition specialist for the Houston Gulf Coast Region 5, and we are so thankful to have you here with us today, Janeen, sharing your expertise.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My anniversary actually was on the 13th. It was 20 years with VR. So thank you very much for that introduction. So as you guys know, my name is Janeen Gordon, and I do work for the Texas Workforce Commission. A lot of people say Texas Workforce Solutions. I say Texas Workforce Commission. I always say the Voc Rehab Department, but as it says here, is the services. Next slide, Carrie. Here, we talk about the workforce solutions, how we provide, how our setup is as far as with the Workforce Commission, about the 28, the local development boards, the Voc Rehab Services, and the services provider partners, because a lot of times people get kind of confused what really it is, because sometimes the people come and visit, they're like, well, hey, I feel like Texas Workforce Commission is like a one-stop shop. In Pennsylvania, that's what we would call it. Next slide, please. Oh, well, fancy. So Voc Rehab Services. I remember when we were at Texas Rehabilitation Commission, and it's that's when I started, when we were TRC, and I see we talk about DARS. But a fun fact is that our board, our workforce board, is the largest board in United States. It is the largest, and so that is. And the one great thing about Houston, we have one board. A lot of the workforce board, a lot of the other regions in other parts of Texas have, like for Dallas, I think they have like 4. There's a lot of different boards for one area, and sometimes that can be a little complicated and confusing. So I am very proud to work for work in collaboration with our board. Next slide, please. Here, fun facts. Did you know 19.6 million working age people ages 21 to 64 in the United States have a disability? Out of the 19.6, 1.6 million working age Texans have one or more disabilities. So we have a lot of work to do here in Texas. And I am proud to say that I have taken upon myself from a VR to a TVRC to take that initiative. That's something that I advocate. I don't care if I'm at church, in a grocery store, if I am out here trying to connect anyone that I know with a disability. Sometimes people will come up to me and just start chit-chatting, and if they disclose or something, I'll let them know. If I see a parent with a kiddo that has a disability, I'll definitely tell them about the different services that we definitely have. Next slide, please. So our overview today, we're going to discuss about adult services, or my transition. Transition is dear and heart to me, is transition, and that'll be our youth and student services or business services, and our eligibility requirements and the disabilities we serve, and how to apply for VR services. Next slide, please. Our adult services. I worked with adults, I want to say maybe 3 years, and because I came to the agency in 2003, so I did 3 years, and then they started the transitional services. So, but what we looked for, the eligibility, and how we would ask the adults when they would come in, was like, do you want to work? Do you have a barrier to work? So we do have eligibility, and we will discuss later on the eligibility criteria. However, we want to help you prepare for employment. We want you to obtain employment, and we want you to retain employment. It says advance in employment. So we want to make sure that you maintain employment through our services. And our older individuals who are blind, and they said from ages 55 and up. And we also work with the not the visually impaired, with the hearing impaired. And I know the oldest person that I know that we serve is in their 80s, and they're getting their hearing aids for for their job. So we do work, because a lot of time people with that's in, that I talk to for transition parents are like, well, you only work with kids 14, 20. No, ma'am. We work with all ages, and we definitely have adult services. Next slide. So example of some of our services or career counseling and guidance. That's what we're really, really big on, that counseling and guidance. We thrive on our case notes saying counseling and guidance throughout the life of the case. We are literally trying to engage the customer. The customer is you all. Engage them in what do you want to do? What are your barriers for you to work? How do we achieve those goals to get you to where you need to go? And to start there, we have to do counseling and guidance to get you, to navigate you to be successful. So that is how we come up with the counseling and guidance. Okay. And I see Julia put something in the chat. I'm like, okay.
Just keep going. You can answer
Okay.
later. I just don't want to forget my question.
Okay, I just so tickled. Okay, so and actually we do career, and part of career counseling and guidance is if there is a goal for a career through post-secondary, we definitely do the counseling and guidance. What does it take to get you to be successful? Or where does it get you to get to college? Or if you're going to college for, or to counseling you on, okay, you want to be a nurse. You have this disability. What do we need to do to knock down some of those barriers so that we could get you to where you need to go to get to be employable, and how to go to college? Job search assistance, it basically is what it says. We definitely help with that, even through paid supports or through collaboration with the Workforce Solutions staff, or through just resources. So we do definitely provide that. Disability related skills training. That's your orientation mobility training, your sign language, lip reading services, independent living. So those are some of those disability related skills training. Your assistive technology, that is for your visually impaired. They have so many different kind of technologies. I went to career, Chris Cole, and we learned a lot of different technology. I think Julia was on the call when she seen me struggling. Technology is not my friend. However, but we definitely, there's just a lot of things from, if you are hearing impaired, they have different things to wake you up or to let you know you have an incoming call, lights flashing, all different kind of things. And also if it's just noise canceling on your headphones and things like that. And I used to provide a service. I would customize, get my kiddos' computers customized for college. So that now Miss Janeen doesn't know about the technology, but there is people that have a rehabilitation technology providers, and they are able to know what a disability is and know the different softwares and apps that they need for them to be successful in college or on their jobs. And we also provide vehicle modifications also. I consider assistive technology as well. So as far as, and then the academic and vocational training is basically what that is. And then we have the supportive services and referrals and supportive employment and self-employment. We definitely have that in the resources to help you to be successful as an entrepreneur. And then we have the transportation and assistance. Transportation can be provided through public carrier or private. And those are some of the services that we provide as far as with transportation. Next slide. Oh, my dear heart to me is youth and student services. uh, we a lot of things have changed, and actually a lot of things have changed with transition services since I have been in this new role, to be honest with you. Now, here it talks about the eligibility criteria, and we now do what we call pre-ETS. And in pre-ETS, we have the 5 categories. The 5 categories, and what you're seeing right there is you have the job exploration, you have the work-based learning, you have the workplace readiness training, and you have the excuse me, and you have the instruction for self-advocacy. So in the job exploration counseling, that's usually some opportunities for the kiddos to gain some information about careers and the skills that they're needed for different jobs, and kind of their personal interests. In work-based learning, we have this kind of an educational approach. And I'll give you an example as I give you the definition for that. We do summer earn and learn, that's called SEAL. We have a paid work experience, which we call the acronyms, because, we're big on acronyms. However, doesn't mean we should be telling you guys it unless you know what we're talking about. But, everybody and kind of fixated on acronyms. And these are, some of them are paid. The SEAL and work-based learning, PWE, were $13 an hour, 20 hours a week with paid work experience, and with SEAL. And SEAL was 5 weeks. In the summertime, we had cohorts 1, 2, and 3, and those were successful work-based learning programs. But it's just real life work activities for your future endeavors, your careers, and things like that. You learn about have activities learning about wages and things like that. We could connect kiddos with mentors, and we talk about the apprenticeships and things like that. And then we have the counseling on post-secondary. So that, well, they have here instructions, and, well, excuse me, post-secondary. Actually, they don't have it on here, but it should be on there. And that one, the counseling on post-secondary, is they're learning about their accommodations. I normally talk to my kiddos about financial aid, FAFSA, but also about the disability services department within the college. We definitely talk about that. I get them the contact information and walk them through that to tell them about what is available to them. So we do definitely discuss that. Workplace readiness. Workplace readiness is like financial literacy, developing social skills, independent living. And then we have self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is, I think it's my favorite one. It's the hardest one, but it's my favorite one. Because if you're being interviewed and first thing somebody asks you, tell me about yourself. Well, that's hard enough, but to sit there and disclose you have a disability, you have to pick and choose when to disclose, when not to disclose, and just learning to understand yourself and know your limitations. And so those are some of the things, and also to know what your rights are. So those are some of the things that we definitely teach as far as with the pre-ETS services that are in the schools, preparing them from employment. And we have some of those services. You can have them in the school. A lot of them are done in the schools. We have a provider that goes into the different schools, or it's an activity they could do after school. But just getting them familiar with themselves and getting them familiar with what it takes to work. Next slide. Business services. So we have a great team of people here at Region 5 that go out and do a great job. It is Fernanda Rivera and Maisha Smith. And these are some of the things that they definitely go out and handle. They raise awareness about the key disability issues. They assist in identifying qualified job seekers. They assess workplaces, know the ADA compliance standards, and they assess recruitments and applications. So they work a lot with a lot of the different businesses. They did for SEAL, for Summer Earn and Learn. They did disability training for the CVS employees. And it was, I believe they trained over 100 of them for them to get ready for the management so they could get ready to understand and learn our kiddos prior to them starting the SEAL program. And some of them, this was the first time being implemented with working with kiddos with disabilities that they knew of. And as far as they have this every week they have something called the morning brew, and they have VR counselors come, but they also have employers present, and the employers tell them what they're looking for, and they have some kind of portal or something, and they are able to look at people's disabilities, what kind of jobs they're looking for, and they may be the middle person in finding qualified applicants for those employers as well. And or they can help the VR counselor help the customers find employment and the things they're looking for and kind of assess them as well. Next slide. We hire ability. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know anything about we hire ability. Like I felt like I've been in a transition bubble for quite some time. So it was pretty cool to hear. I just went and asked our employment, our business relations team about this. And they basically told me what they do is it's a program where they recognize Texas employers who commit to hiring or people with disabilities, and they give them different incentives and things like that. So that's where that tax incentive tax credit, they recognize them. And as you see here, so they definitely, so the exceptional businesses who employ at least 10% of their Texas-based workforce compromises of people with disability. We hire ability decals. So they definitely work with the employers on that, and they definitely have a nomination criteria. So they normally nominate a business that includes an individual with a disability in an integrated workplace, along with the people with disabilities that have a makeup of at least 10% of the Texas-based workforce. And that's how they go through the rehire ability recognition for those nominations for those employers. And the goal is for them to hire, retain, and help develop skills with people with disabilities. Next slide. The eligibility requirement for VR services. So this is the major piece of how you receive services. It's on an eligibility criteria. If you are in transition, you can receive services. You do not have to go through the full VR services to receive services. But as far as what we are looking for in our policy and how we go through the criteria is this. This has to be, you have to be a Texas state, be present in the state of Texas. But what it reads in our policy, it says you have to decide whether a customer, this is what the VR counselor has to do. They have to decide whether a customer is eligible for services. They must determine the customer has a physical or mental impairment. That's the first criteria. The second criteria is you have to determine that the impairment constitutes or results in a substantial impediment to employment. The third criteria, you have to determine that the customer requires VR services to prepare for, secure, retain, advance in, or regain employment that is consistent with the individual's unique strengths, resources, priorities, concerns, abilities, capabilities, interests, and informed choices. And the fourth criteria is you presume that the customer can have a goal of employment outcome unless a trial work experience demonstrates by clear and convincing evidence that the customer cannot achieve a competitive and integrated employment outcome because of the severity of the customer's disability. And also, I do want to add, they also must maintain an authorization to work in the United States to be considered eligible for VR services. So I just wanted to put that out there. But I literally read from our VR standards in our book. That is what I read it verbatim, what it said. So that you can remember that you're presumed eligible for services if you are a recipient of Social Security, SSI rather, if you receive SSI. So not survivors, SSI, or SSDI. So I just want to, and for SSDI, you still may have to go through those 4 criteria, but SSI, you're presumed, if you have come in with your award letter, you're presumed eligible, and until they could either further do testing or some other things to see, if you will be able to retain employment. And keep in mind, we're about employment services. And sometimes people don't really want to work, but we are about employment, not just to send you to school. It's about getting a job and trying to maintain a job and trying to knock down those barriers so that you can be employable. Next slide. The disabilities we serve. Of course, it's the physical disability that comes from quadriplegic, any kind of physical impairment, psychological, that's from your ADHD to your mental health to depression, things like that, to your sensory disability. Has hearing and vision, but sometimes I feel like certain pieces of your autism can be in that as well. But so those are some of the disabilities that we definitely serve. You could have diabetes. I've even serviced a kiddo that had asthma because it was an impediment to his employment, to a kid that has a learning disability. Well, might not read too well, and the impediment is the barrier to employment is they can't read to even go on to, back in the day, fill out an application, but to do it even, virtually doing it online or comprehending even an interview. So we might have to put in some supportive services to help assist them with that. Next slide. So here's the information how to apply for our services. And I believe these are all things you can control all in. It's a hyperlink, but our VR office locator, you could definitely go that way, or you could just go to our website or go to the nearest workforce office. And by finding the locator, it will definitely take you to that information to help assist you with that. Or you can always contact me, and I believe my information is a little bit further from the slide. Next, please. Here again is the same information. Have to put that in there. Next slide. We have to put that in there too about our funding. Next slide. And here's my contact information, Janeen Gordon. My phone number is, I'm going to give you my cell phone number. It's better to call me on a cell phone, 832-840-2946. Again, 832-840-2946. And here's my email address, janeen.gordon@texas.twc.texas spelled out.gov. I believe that's everything.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
lots
I
of great
know,
information.
thank you. Like I said, it's a lot of information, and parents really get discouraged sometimes and think it's just to get transitional services. To me, it's not it doesn't take, it's not as long of a process, but don't get discouraged. I always felt, let me put my camera back on. I always felt I started reflecting as I was telling you about my husband when we started going to the doctors for certain things, and I would sit there and I was like, this is taking forever. People don't, engage with you to say, well, this is going on, the doctor, 15 minutes, that you just sit there, you wait. And so I started, it was kind of, I'm like, Lord, you talking to me? So I was like, no. So I definitely decided that I would try to communicate with my parents and let them know what was going on, or if there was a glitch or a holdup or something like that, or being just transparent and being truthful. I forgot. Instead of making, oh, I didn't get your email, I didn't see. Just be truthful. It's about building a rapport with families. And sometimes you all get discouraged. You wait. And it gets discouraging. You just say, forget it. I've had parents paying thousands and thousands of dollars to companies to pay for their kids to get Social Security benefits. I didn't understand it. But that's the service we provide. We do benefits counseling. So it's just trying to get the word out there and let people know the different services, and trying to, make sure that everybody is getting quality services.
Yeah.
So that's what
No,
it's about.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'll get to,
Sure.
we do have a couple questions.
Okay,
in
great.
chat just about this, the comment, sometimes it can be hard to know which office to go to. And I'm glad you mentioned, there are some local offices. And since we happen to be here in Fort Bend, I know you shared there's your information there for Houston area. I know as far as for here locally, Texas Workforce Commission. So there's the Rosenberg office right there off of Southwest Freeway. And I've got their phone number it's a 281-344-0279. My experience trying to call any of the workforce offices though is that, you very rarely get through to a person. So sometimes that in-person showing up is sometimes better, because then you actually will connect with somebody. And I know that there's other workforce solutions offices, I know, in Missouri City. And so here locally, I would just suggest to reach out to whoever is in your local area and go to that office. You can certainly try calling, but again, sometimes you make better connection with a person by going in person.
Or you can contact me
Mhm.
and I will connect you with the manager.
Okay, with who to
So,
contact over there.
and I will do the introduction. Yes.
Is
Right.
that,
But for,
I'm sorry,
I'm
is that
sorry.
better than like when I looked y'all up on Facebook and found out about this, some other people popped up that look like they're little businesses that connect you with vocational rehab. I didn't know if that's a good idea or if it's better to go directly to you all.
I've never heard of
Well, maybe
a business directing, but no, you just call us directly.
Okay.
Well, maybe what she's referring to is that there
Okay.
are providers of the actual the training. Like in our local area, we have 18 and beyond special services, and that is the training component of they receive funding from Texas Workforce Commission in order to provide the training that is needed.
Right, if they're
So
selected.
yes. So there are several different companies out there that provide maybe the pre-employment transition services training, or there's Bloom Consulting, there's 18 and Beyond, there's many different companies
Yes.
out there that receive funding from Texas Workforce in order to provide the training that your child might need. So
Right, but right now, you know me now, so you don't have to go searching or calling and hoping somebody answers the phone. So you have all my information, you have my cell phone number, you have my office number, and you have my email address. So I'll connect you to the correct office. If it's for a child or for an adult, I will definitely be able to do that. If you name me a school, I'll be able to let you know who that transition, what we call TVRC, transition vocational rehabilitation counselor, is assigned to that school. And I'll send them introduce you guys along with their supervisor and manager on this, so to make sure that that they follow up.
And what about like in a situation similar to my son's, where, like I said, he's been trying to graduate from college off and on for like 10 years, and he's briefly held some jobs in between, but usually his illness, he's got like autism and a mental illness.
Mhm.
Usually his, the mental illness will flare up and he'll have to take a semester off, or he'll have to quit working, but he does want to graduate from college, which would help with whatever job he has, and he has like one semester left. But and basically, like, I've been paying for everything for him, since he hasn't been able to support himself. But would he be eligible if he has the disability to to have the college, like the semester of college paid for, and then try to look for work? Or is that not how it works?
So every service and every case is customized and is individualized.
Okay.
However, does your son receive Social Security benefits?
He's not applied for it, but he probably would qualify, just because he has, like, he was in
Mhm.
special ed in school, but he's got very high functioning autism.
Right, but his disability is costing him right now to have
Right,
some barriers in employment and to be able to
right.
cross the finish line.
Right, and I've been paying for all his expenses because he wants to work, so he's not trying to apply for disability, but it's just that in reality over the last decade, it's like, he might finish a semester of school and then have to take the semester off because of mental illness, and then
Right,
have a job for a little while, then the mental illness will flare up.
right.
But
So,
he'd prefer to support himself than
but
apply
right now, right, but
for disability,
he doesn't have to be on Social Security forever.
right.
It's just something that is needed right now.
So you think it's worth him?
I do, because they have the ticket to work. They have a lot of different programs for if he gets ill, so if he feels better, he could go to work.
Yeah,
If something happens and he has a relapse, then there's all different. I'm not a guru with Social Security benefits, but I know there's programs out there that will allow him to work, and if he has different issues and things like that, they will be able to start back his Social Security benefits. So
yeah, that's worth a try because he does have a couple of small kids, and like I said, I'm actually the
what's this
one
on?
paying all the
Right.
expenses.
So did he apply for FAFSA,
Yeah,
financial aid?
he has done, FAFSA, but it
Okay.
usually it doesn't. I mean, usually they just offer another student loan or whatever.
Right, but you can always apply for our services.
Okay,
I
okay,
mean, well, he can apply for our
right,
services,
right. Now I understand. Yeah,
right? But we are
And then,
about employment.
and y'all take into account, uh, yeah, and he does want to work. It's just I'm encouraging him because he's like one semester short of graduating from college, and he's talked about wanting to do things like teach. That it'd be better instead of trying to get another grocery store job. It would be better for the career in the long run to try to finish college. For what he's wanting to do. You know what I mean?
unlike Janine had suggested before too, and I would echo that, is to contact the Disability Services Office. So your son may not have disclosed yet to the university he's attending that he has a disability. I mean, 10 years is a good amount of time to kind of have.
I don't think he has. I think he just turns in the paper to his doctor, to withdraw. But I don't like because when his brain is working, then he can do his schoolwork, so he doesn't necessarily need extra time. But then
So there's accommodations that he might qualify for. He
Absolutely.
should contact, especially if he is one semester shy.
Yeah.
Surely by now, this pattern of him, he gets through a certain point and then he has to withdraw. Maybe those accommodations, if he disclosed that he had a disability to the Disability Services Office, they could work with his professors and help get him through.
Yeah, that's
I
a great.
agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another resource for you too is Hope Fort Bend Clubhouse. That is a resource here locally in Fort Bend County that has like a day program, if you will. And but they also have resources.
Or where's
So it's
Fort
Hope
Bend?
Hope Fort Bend Clubhouse. So they
I mean, are y'all in near
offer,
Dallas or Houston or?
no, it's in Rosenberg. So
Or
are
he's in
you in?
Dallas.
Oh, you're in the Dallas area. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I was thinking
Okay.
you're here locally. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if there's something similar, but
Carrie, is there an ARC program in Dallas?
there are ARCs all over, yes,
Yeah,
all
that's
over
what I thought. I
Texas,
was
all
going to
over the
say, all
United
Pennsylvania. I
States.
remember. I know.
Yes.
So, do we have information for maybe a local one in that area for her, maybe, so that she could get connected and they could give her the resources closer to her, perhaps?
And then Miss Gordon, would I still contact you, or is it going to be somebody different in Dallas that my son would contact?
I could still connect you to
So there is
that office.
Okay.
right. So there is the ARC DFW area, and I'm looking up to see what their number is, but it's just the ARC of DFW.org, and I'm looking to see if I could find their
I have one other question. It's going to sound kind of
number.
dumb, but I'm going to ask it
None
anyway.
of them are dumb.
Oh, we're all finding out together.
Like I said,
Absolutely.
he's got autism and this other major mental illness, but he's very bright. And like I said, he's done well when he's not having a breakdown at college. But I kind of worry that if he goes somewhere and says, I want to work, that they'll put him in like a grocery clerk job or a janitor job. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but do they try to like individualize it so that it's the job that most meets like his abilities to, I guess?
Yes, it should be about his
Okay.
abilities. But remember we were talking about self-advocacy. That's the time when he would advocate for himself. Normally when they're doing different kind of jobs and helping them and putting in supports or provider, as Kerry was talking about earlier, you say, I don't mind working this many miles from my home. I'm looking for this kind of job. You know, he has some college experience, so I
Right.
don't see that
Okay. I was just
being
curious.
an issue. Um, but then there is assessments that can be taken as well
Oh, that's
from
good.
voc evals and things, evaluation, excuse me, can I say voc evaluations. Um,
Yeah, because
um,
I think too, if there was an in-between job that took advantage of his skills, he might be interested in, like, working, it's just, I think he is very bright. He just like has a lot of
right.
problems.
So there's different kind of assessments, environmental work assessments as well. And those are some of the things that a VR counselor could definitely
Help with.
provide type of assessments to see
Okay.
would he be able to work and just kind of carve that out that way. Just
Okay.
some assessments.
I don't want to take up all the time. SEMA might have.
Oh, these are, but it's excellent questions. So yes, Seema, if
Mhm.
you have any questions, because I know you are one of our families down here in Fort Bend County, so if you
Yes.
have, yeah.
Uh, First of all, thank you so much. It's a lot of information, and thank you, God. I think Gordon, right?
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
yes. I already contact for the Texas workforce, and then
Yay.
my daughter is already enrolled. My daughter is 19-year-old, and
Wonderful.
she is going for the um, school right now for the uh, silk class. And I have one question. It's a Jimmy. I think Jimmy. I don't know full name, but Jimmy is
Flanagan.
yeah,
Flanagan.
yeah. Is contact me and they interviewed and everything. But I have a question. When I ask this question for the Jimmy, um, my daughter can still doing a night. Is 19-year-old and she enrolled already school too. And I wanna ask um for the she wanna lot of energy and she is always ready for work. So it's possible she wanna start now for the any training or jobs, because when I asked this question Jimmy, they told me for the she wanna ready for summer or they finish the school. But I'm trying for the she wanna start right now for the November holidays or December holidays or
Oh, or so you
weekend.
asking about maybe like, since she's still
So,
in school, she's still
but
attending
she
school during the
wants to,
day, so it's
right.
not a full-time job that you can have
Just
right
a
now.
part-time little job or something
Okay.
like that. Get her some transferable skills. That's what you're talking about, Mom?
Yes.
Yeah. And he didn't answer it?
No, they answer for the she only training for the summertime, June, July.
Okay, so she did participate in SEAL, Summer Earn and Learn?
Not right now, but they told me for the information before summer.
Sounds
Okay,
like
so
that she's
no,
doing training right now to be prepared for the upcoming summer.
no, she can, a provider can help assist her with employment.
So it seems like maybe find out, did Jimmy do a evaluation of her skills and like her employability skills?
Yeah, they interviewed for the Dia. Me and Dia sit down with Zoom, and they all question and answering, and they interviewed already.
Okay, so they did kind of a Zoom interview. Okay.
They're interviewing, may I ask for what? For a job or for, is she receiving services in her school?
Yes, for the 3 hour, 4 days a week.
Pre-ETS. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Why don't you put your name in the chat and or your email address as well, and I will follow up and I'll follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, yeah. great questions. And so it's
Oh,
good to know.
yes.
And it is a process, I know. So I'll share a little bit about myself as well. So I have my daughter who's now she's a senior this year. This past
Okay.
summer, she did participate in the summer Earn and Learn. And it was
Okay.
a really good experience for my daughter. So my daughter, she's kind of similar to Julia's son, very high functioning,
Mhm.
has ADHD and focus issues. But so she did participate and did it was like the 5-week program, like you're saying, for up
Yes.
to 20
Mhm.
hours a week. And she here locally, she was at the Urban Air in Pearland. So
Oh, okay, great.
it was a good experience for her. It wasn't, she really wanted to work in a movie theater, but so it wasn't the job that she wanted, but
Right.
we also talked to her about that. It's still great experience. There's so many different things from that working with coworkers, having a supervisor, how to interact with customers.
Right.
That those are all valuable, transferable work-related skills, even if it's not
Absolutely.
working at the place that you want to work. So
S-
so there are
So
programs
she
out
is
there.
so is she still in school, Carrie?
She is still, yes. So now this year she's a senior in high school. So last summer it was the end of her junior year. She did the
Okay.
first cohort of the summer Earn and Learn.
So
And
now she wants a job at the movie theater?
that's what she was wanting last summer. So now she's
Okay.
actually doing the career and technical school where she's getting her cosmetology certification.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she'll be graduated at the end of this year and hopefully, continue to
Wow.
work and have her certification to sit for the state exam for
Right.
cosmetology. So we might be
Whoa.
looking at needing assistance for just getting her over that hump to get the first experience in some type of cosmetology role. So
So
that'll be,
they do provide accommodations for the licensing test, right?
oh, good. Okay, that's good.
So
Good to
that's
know.
yes, ma'am. Right.
Extended
They do
time.
definitely that. Yes. So and we definitely do assist if they're eligible with the rental booths and equipment and tools and things they need to start their business when she graduates from high school.
Okay, great. I'll remember that when she's when
Or
she's
give me a call, Carrie.
I will be calling you, Janine.
So did mom put her information in the chat or do we so that or maybe
Oh, yes. So
okay.
Dia, well, that's her daughter's. Seema is mom, but Dia is her daughter, and that she's included her date of birth and email address and all the
Mom,
chat.
did your daughter participate in our summer STEM camps?
We just fill up the application for the uh, blessing camp.
Oh, a camp. She did a
Camp
summer
blessing.
camp blessing.
Yeah,
So
we
not through
just, but
Texas
it's not
Workforce.
approved yet. But I just fill up yesterday is a open application. I just fill up and
Okay, you
other
didn't do
camps
one in the
no,
summertime. You didn't do one
no.
in the summertime? Okay.
Yeah, it's summertime and we are looking more if we are checking more for the this December if any more camps coming.
Okay. Okay. I
Well,
don't
good. Well, we've come
okay.
about to our end of our time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but we will continue offline. But thank you, Ms. Gordon, for sharing
Of
so much great knowledge
course.
and information
Thank
with
you for
us and
inviting me.
awesome resources. So we'll see you all next time.